Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In this episode, I'm going to briefly just go over something that I think is really important for a lot of climbers to be familiar with. It's a device that can be easily made at home or bought online, and it is a PURCELL loop. And this loop is unique because on one end it has a termination knot. This is a figure 8 on a bite, and it has a loop here to connect to your harness, and then the rest of it is a big loop, and it has a prusik here that allows it to maintain its position. So if I want it longer, I can just adjust it longer and it'll work just fine. However, one thing to know about a PURCELL prusik is that when you're using it, you want the hitch here to be, the prusik to be at least a minimum of halfway the distance to the other end. So right in the center here. And the reason that is I'll show you in a minute. So the way you connect yourself, this is mostly used as a tether for hand ascenders, especially in alpining, but also in other forms of climbing like rock climbing and rescuing. So the way this works is that you take one end and you securely attach it to the bottom connection point on the ascender, like this. And then this other end here gets connected to either your belay loop, or in this case, because I have an arborist saddle, a bridge. And now in this case, I would probably adjust it further. But you're going to want it to be long enough that it'll allow you to raise above yourself like that. So you see, this is perfect length right here. And what's really unique, and I'm going full circle here, I'm coming back to the reason that this hitch is at least halfway the distance to the termination knot, is because if I were to be climbing on this and if I were to take a fall, this would catch me. But instead of having all of my weight being distributed into this, what's going to happen is, because there's a hitch on here, as my weight falls on it, this hitch is going to slide up a ways, and until it eventually catches. Worst case scenario, goes all the way up here and you're still caught. But what happens by doing this is it actually dissipates energy. This hitch transforms the energy that your body is putting into this hand ascender and into this tether, and it transforms it into heat. So, little physics thing there. And by doing that, it spares this rope and this hand ascender from, being hit with as many kilonewtons as it would be if you had a stiff tether, just a regular length of cord with no prusik. In that situation, you are at greater risk of causing something called desheathing. And with hand ascenders, because they're a toothed device, they have the teeth on there on the cam that allows it to hold. It is possible for, if it gets if enough force gets put into it, it can actually strip the sheath, the outer part of the rope, completely off, and then you'll just be, hanging by the core, hopefully. Depends on how you're connected in. That's a whole different thing. But you risk doing that, and a lot of the rope's strength comes from working with the sheath. It's not just the core, and it's not nearly as much as the core, but I think it's anywhere from 10 to 30%. So, that's important. But you don't want to desheath your ropes. So a good way to minimize that risk, not eliminate, but minimize, is to use something like a PURCELL PRUSIK loop. And I have videos showing how you can make both a double strand and a single strand form of this. This is the single strand. I prefer it to the double strand, although I do own a double strand. And it's really, it's a light piece of equipment, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and it can be used for all kinds of things. If you're rock climbing or do any kind of sport climbing like that, this can be used for, this can be your personal anchor system. And depending on where the bolts are located, you might want to have a tether that is adjustable so that you're always positioned the way you want to be. This has been a little quick video on the PURCELL PRUSIK, just an educational piece. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please hit like. Please comment below or ask questions if you have any. And that'll do it.